Hi, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of Yotewo podcast. And today we have our two dear friends, partners, and guests, Mikael and Valeriia, founders of Rattlesnake Group. Guys, thank you so much for joining. First of all, maybe you can start with a bit of background in yourself, tell about yourself, and then we'll get to the questions.
Yeah, well, I'm Mikael, co-founder at Rattlesnake. My background is finance and management. But 5 years ago, when the story began, I ended up in tech. So far, it's going quite well.
Nice. Valeriia?
Yeah, I'm a creative director of Rattlesnake, and my background is in architecture. I worked as an architect for some time, and then I joined the Rattlesnake as a creative director.
Amazing, great, guys. I think let's start with the origins of Rattlesnake. Maybe if you can share the story about how did the studio come together, how did you guys meet, and what you wanted to do differently when you started the studio.
Yeah, the whole story began in St. Andrews. It's a very small town in Scotland. And the main idea was that we could combine design skills, engineering skills, and marketing skills to build something meaningful. Because in our philosophy, if you take out one of these key pillars that form a decent digital products, then the whole product would make sense. Because, for instance, if you have a great design and great engineering, but you don't have a marketing team, then the product wouldn't convert. And similarly, if you have a very strong engineering skill, but UI UX is not there, then the user flow will break. So that's the whole idea of Rattlesnake, is that we combine three key pillars to build commercially viable products.
Yeah, and as you already know, we started 5 years ago in St. Andrews, and we started from zero, so we built everything from scratch.
That's amazing. And did you guys meet each other before starting the studio, or?
Yes.
We knew each other before, but Valeriia joined me a bit later, so the company was already formed. We actually had a third co-founder, but we're not working together anymore. It's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
But we're
It was
friends.
a nice experience.
Yeah.
It was a nice experience.
Yeah.
It's just the vision was slightly different, and also the objectives and the goals each of us had were
Makes sense.
different.
And did you have any considerations for the fact that there are so many studios out there, especially in London? Did you have any concerns about that?
Sure, but there are actually couple of thoughts I had in my mind. The first one was the fact that there are many studios and agencies. It probably means that the market is big enough,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And
true.
if you can compete well, if you can render your services at good quality, you will feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So that's the first point. The second point is that many existing players would operate in engineering mainly, with a lack of design and marketing and strategy skills, and this is where we have some sort of advantage. So the whole idea worked.
Yeah.
But I've heard many times that there are different tools that simplify, speed up processes, and then there was a there was a person who was trying to convince me that setting up an agency or a studio would make sense, because these tools would basically replace people like us. But in reality, as we can see, these tools are just helping us to speed up the processes, to improve them.
Of course. Yeah, no, totally makes sense. Okay, I have one of the questions specifically on design. So, in my opinion, and in many other people's opinion, Rattlesnake is a synonym to the taste in design. Can you guys share? That's how the industry knows you guys. Can you guys share what was your, the way to this achievement, or maybe I don't know, any systems in place or any specific vision in place that helped you to achieve it? Because this is something that really many people know you for.
Yeah, we are really into details. So our team is constantly searching for new ideas, new trends. So we're really into design, and the detailization is high quality for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I actually like being the most annoying person in our company. And just trying to find these like small elements no one can even notice. Like, for instance, just adjusting line height of font or spacing in between letters can make so much difference.
Of course.
And small details make big difference.
The whole picture. Yeah.
But I'm actually quite surprised that we are known mainly for decent design, because we're doing our best to excel in all three pillars I mentioned before. But this might be because visuals is the first thing.
Yeah, it's eye-catching. Like when people go to the website, I think that's the first thing that they like remember and then share with other people mainly. Okay, and I think like also on the design part, what's this like non-design, not non-tech related experience that you think shaped your vision as a design studio? Maybe I don't know something from I don't know traveling, something from I don't know some art that you saw, maybe something like that. I think I know the answer, but I wanna hear from you guys.
I think it's our backgrounds. So
Yeah,
we have a really different backgrounds. So
yeah,
mine architecture is a really like structure thing and also a creative at the same time.
yeah,
And Mikael's is in finance and technology as well. So I think this is the core element
yeah,
of the diversity of
I guess for me, it's my experience in management consultancy because this is what I could bring to the table, and this would mean that I could establish a quite efficient communication in between
yeah,
our studio and clients, because clients always talk business language.
yeah,
And my main goal, I'm not sure if I mentioned at the beginning when I was trying to tell more about myself, but my role at Rattlesnake is more about strategy, but also client-facing role.
yeah,
So this is what I do. I meet clients, I define business objectives,
yeah,
I establish partnerships. So what I'm trying to say is that perhaps my experience in management consultancy was quite helpful for me to be able to efficiently communicate what what can be done to
yeah,
improve certain areas of a business or a
yeah,
startup, and then I'm basically a bridge in between our studio and clients. So I
yeah,
guess this experience was quite helpful.
yeah.
Let's say.
yeah.
But let's learn about your opinion on it.
What shaped me or what I think shaped you?
But there is another thing that shaped me.
Yeah, what is
Do
it?
you mind? Yeah. So of course, when I was studying in the UK, I did my bachelor, I did my masters, and of course, over this years, I did complete some internships.
Yeah,
I was working there and there,
that's
and
what I was about to
yeah,
say.
yeah. And when you work for a large company, a large enterprise, and you actually see the processes from inside, and you see the senior level people like C-level executive that are not capable of doing anything significant, you realize that
Yeah,
if if these people can run a corporation, you can probably start a digital studio at least.
yeah, yeah. I thought you'll, I thought you'll also say about your life in Italy that it shaped the design vision in some way.
Oh yeah,
Would you
yeah.
say?
There was some parts in my life where I did study abroad period in Italy,
Yeah,
and I was working for a great company, Stone Island,
yeah,
with Carlo Rivetti and his family, great people.
yeah,
Yeah, I think maybe my experience in marketing and creative side also shaped my
yeah.
vision as well.
Yeah, maybe. You know what I've noticed for myself as well when I because I'm coming from Belarus and we're like super bureaucratic country, and what I've noticed when we're doing due diligence with our investors that my levels of like attention to detail in like documents and in general like systematic approach, it has kind of like put me in front of everyone else because like I'm like too bureaucratic
Mhm.
because of like kind of the background, and then it actually helps when it comes to things like documents, due diligence, I don't know, term sheet, this kind of things. I don't know. That's what I've noticed for myself as well.
Yeah, life experience is also a point.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
I think where I'm from also matters a lot because the people you interact with during your life periods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's great. Let's get to the part of projects. So you guys work across very different brands, tech projects. Maybe can you share what types of clients or maybe what types of products do you get most excited about when they come to you guys?
I think you know the answer.
Yeah. Maybe I don't know.
Well, for me, I would say it's fintech and like
Okay.
finance related
Yeah.
products. But I'm a bit
Yeah.
biased because it's my background. I did masters
Yeah.
in this field, and of course, it's for me it's quite exciting when I can
Yeah.
deploy my knowledge, like academic knowledge, let's say,
Mm.
while working on financial projects.
Yeah.
But if I'm completely honest, like any way we work in a tech field, so wherever it's related to tech is
Yeah.
exciting, especially when there is some AI component, which is quite trendy nowadays, because this is something new you can
Yeah.
explore.
Exactly.
Learning curve is different,
Yeah.
but it's mostly about founders you work with.
Yeah.
So it's mostly about people you work with, because this is where it becomes interesting when you are working with a person which has an which has a vision that you can't even that you couldn't even think of. So
Mm.
that's what inspires me.
Okay. Valeria, what about you?
I would say same, but I
Yeah.
also think that we had a couple of projects in the architectural and construction field.
Yeah.
So I'm a biased in this field as well.
Yeah.
But I love tech founders. I like fintech, legal tech. So yeah, I think I agree with Mikael.
Nice, that's amazing. I had a couple episodes back. We had a guest, the guy from Ukraine, Alexei Rud. He's a fintech entrepreneur, and I shared as well. Like, ask him why are you into fintech in general? Like, because he's done like quite a few projects in there and exited one of them. And I asked him like why fintech, and he was like, fintech is pretty much everywhere in life. Like, if you can take any kind of service, vertical, whatever, and at the end of the day, it's gonna be like related to some financial transactions. So you can
Yeah,
essentially
yeah.
make a product in any vertical, and it's a fintech.
Yeah, it's
So-
true, and also love the approach in the tech and the fintech project because, for example, we used to work with the fashion a lot,
Yeah.
and it's mostly creative approach. But in fintech and tech, we can combine the research approach
Yep.
with our knowledge and the creative as well. So it's a combination of.
But let's think of this question from different perspective, because we can, let's say, define this question by means of B2C or B2B. So obviously B2C part might be slightly more interesting
Yeah.
because sales are happening through marketing mainly,
Exactly,
right? And
yeah.
then you can work on strategy,
Yeah.
and then there is a performance marketing component,
Yeah.
and then you can use. I'll mention this tool because I just love it. Post hoc, recommend that everyone use it. So you can set up end-to-end analytics, your funnels in a way you want, and you can
Yeah.
see lots of interesting things. How a little tweaks in UI can change conversion dramatically.
Yeah,
So I
that's
would
true.
say in this sense, of course, B2C is more interesting.
More
Because in
interesting,
B2B, it's more about having this strong network with
Yeah.
the C-level executives from
Exactly.
corps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Interesting. And what's the also on the client side? What do you think is the weirdest client request that you guys have received? And in general, and maybe said yes to, maybe said no to. What was the weirdest one that you had?
For me, it's a client we had in modern art industry, contemporary art. So they would sell very strange looking products, like very strange.
And
Yeah.
also the request for the website design
Yeah.
was also crazy.
Yeah.
Was quite crazy. I mean, we delivered it. It worked really well. I think it's still online, but we worked on it like maybe 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, the whole idea of working with this kind of products, because you have to like render every image, so you look at it a lot.
Yeah.
Then you upload these images to the e-com store.
Okay.
It's just
Yeah.
yeah. I
Interesting.
can't go into details much.
Yeah.
Because privacy and NDA, yeah. But contemporary art, it's very interesting industry.
Yeah. Valerie, same for you or
Yeah,
maybe
same
some
for
other
me.
one? Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, guys, so my next one is related a little bit to what we do at Yotewo. So in creative tech, hiring, I think, is especially difficult because you need to hire not only like people who are, capable in engineering wise, but also who have like this eye for design, have, the a bit of taste, the understanding. How do you guys approach looking for, designers, developers, I don't know, anyone else who you need for the projects?
I think it's the hardest part of the operations in our company because it's really hard to find not just people who doing their job really good, but also
Yeah.
the team members, because we are a boutique agency.
Yeah.
So we need a team member to be part of our ecosystem. So
Yeah.
it's not just about the nice looking portfolio or I don't know,
Hard
clear code.
skills, because
Yeah.
hard skills can be taught,
Yeah.
but it's
Soft
more
skills.
about work culture,
Yeah.
Values.
Exactly.
Yeah.
values of a person. So for this reason, the way we find it is through network, through friends, through referrals. But sometimes we dive quite deep in internet environment. We find some people that sit there in some unknown locations, maybe like in some small Brazilian town, but this
Yeah.
person can be the most talented person in the world. But
Yeah.
sometimes it happens that we need to do some sprints. We need some human capital that we can trust. Of course, there is an in-house team that lead the project, but we need some hands that are trustful. And in this regard, we work with you,
Yeah.
Alexander. We work with you a couple of times. Um, I'm honestly happy. Like it worked really well for us, and uh, actually I was feeling so comfortable because any questions I had, I just could call it directly, and this
Yeah,
would
and
get
quality
resolved.
first, of course.
Yeah.
Quality
Thank
first.
you
Yeah.
so much, guys. No, I'm glad that we are working together. So that's true. Okay. Also, I have the next one related to the client side as well. Uh, I'm sure there are such cases when you say no to some projects. And can you maybe share on how do you know that it's the right call to say no? Maybe I don't know. Just any cases that you had.
We say no when a certain founder doesn't have a clear vision.
Yeah.
Because for us, it's about building partnerships, long-term partnerships, not transactions. Because one of transactions is not where we make our margins.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm now talking in terms of finance and numbers, right? We earn money, we earn margins because we are building partnerships. And if a certain founder is not aware of his strategy, he doesn't have a clear understanding of his product, then it's quite clear that this is a one-off project. And we're never interested in one-off projects because
Yeah.
we are interested in long-term partnerships where we start working with a founder and together we can reach series A, B, and further. So this is
Exactly.
where we can grow with the
That's
client.
amazing.
And second reason, at least for me, is when a certain founder or a team, they have some micromanagement, bureaucracy. It means that they don't trust us enough. They try to control every step we make. And in this regard, of course, we can't work good enough because we are more like an executors. But the whole philosophy of Rattlesnake is that we are plug and play studio. So we plug into a certain company and sometimes we can become product owners if needed. But if
Exactly.
we're treated just like executors, this is not something we're interested in because the client will not get the full value of our
Yeah.
expertise and our concept while we will not enjoy the process.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, I think in our industry, it's a well-known issue is a trust.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the same. If I see that founders they just don't trust us, so
Yeah.
that will be a problem in future. So probably we're not a good fit for each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I think the biggest thing that I love in working with you guys is that we actually have so many recommendations from you that we can not just like execution, but actually so many things that you recommend, that you advise on, and I think that's the where like huge value comes in. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, actually it's it's quite interesting, like the fact that we met through business, but
Yeah.
then
Then
we
yeah, got
our
some friends and
relationship
stuff.
became quite strong,
Yeah.
and it has been a couple of years we're working together in
Yeah.
both ways actually.
Quite a few. Yeah, quite
Yeah.
a few years already. Yeah. Okay, that's amazing. Okay, guys. So again, you're super well known in the industry now, but no one knows about the early times. Maybe can you share a bit on were there any difficult times in the beginning when you just started? Because obviously it always takes time to reach certain level. Can you maybe share about this early days?
The early days were dark.
We started from zero, literally zero. We bought a domain, and we
Yeah, and
just
then of course we couldn't deploy any capital to hire
yeah.
people, so I would basically code,
Yeah.
Valeria would design, and then but maybe it's an advantage now because we know how the entire process works
Yeah, we know
from
how
A
to
to
do
B.
everything. Every part of the services that we offer, we know how to do that by ourselves. So
That's amazing.
Yeah, but it was quite hard because you can't build this process where one of co-founders is managing operational process and
Yeah.
another co-founder is building these valuable business connections.
Yeah.
In our case, it was me and Valeria would work ourselves, and this
Yeah.
is not how we are building. Like I would never recommend doing that. That's a terrible idea. And actually, if you don't have hard skills, trust me, for you, it would be easier to build a business because you will not dive into operations and spend your valuable time as a founder. You should focus on something else. You should focus on building and growing your business, not
Yeah.
on executing certain projects. And
Yeah.
this was a mistake, but also we learned from this mistake,
Yeah.
but also we didn't have a choice because if you
That's
don't have a
true.
capital to deploy, you're going to do it yourself.
Yeah.
But we're profitable since day one, thanks to our
That's amazing.
network. It has never been a case for us where we had nothing to do.
Yeah.
So we'd always have some projects in the pipeline. Not sure why. Maybe I don't know, maybe just luck, or maybe our friends are just too good. They would recommend us a lot. Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy.
But yeah,
I
it
would
was
repeat it.
it was quite tough actually, because the projects you would work on, they were mostly insignificant, with all the respect to all business owners. But I mean, it's a different scale of projects we're working on now. So at the early stages, of course, the projects were small, and I'm not sure why it happens, but trust me, the less is project worth, the worse you are treated. You know, it's a rule.
Yeah, and we also started with branding and the website mostly in the beginning. And now we're building a product,
a lot of stuff,
and do a GTM strategy and marketing. So the more significant stuff for startups mostly. So I think
we switched our focus, because before we would work a lot with different sort of companies, including fashion brands, maybe fast-moving consumer goods. But now we are mostly working with tech companies. And also, as Valeriia mentioned, we would focus simply on websites, on WordPress, CMS. But now we are shifting our focus more towards more comprehensive technology stacks, such as React, Vue, Node.js, backend.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And would you say, just a question popped up in my mind, would you say, because you didn't bring any external capital, right? It was just you guys working. Would you say it's a good idea to do the same for people who are building product, or would you say they should go and fundraise?
Go and fundraise, for sure.
100% agreed.
Yeah.
100% agreed. Valeriia, what do you think?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. I think it depends on the product you're going to build. So if it's a service-related product, maybe you can start without fundraising. But if it's a product for B2C customers, for example, so for sure 100% fundraising.
May I expand on that, if you don't mind? I mean, we are building a pilot project within our studio. And so it means that Rattlesnake has its own product we are building. Now we are working on it. And the whole idea was, like 5 years ago, actually, when Rattlesnake was established, I didn't mention that. The whole idea was that we will remain boutique. We'll never grow in terms of human capital. We'll remain boutique. We'll just
the checks will grow.
Change the complexity of the services we render. But at the same time, we will launch our venture studio. This is where our in-house team builds and launches products that would be managed by us, maybe sold or maintained, doesn't matter. So we have now reached this stage, and there is a product we are building. And also we have some customers.
Exactly.
Some of the customers came from your referral, by the way. Thank you. And the whole idea is that there is a studio like us with capital in terms of money, with human capital, with in-house team, but it's still very hard to do it, because at the end of the day, you have a trade-off. Either you deploy your human capital to work on your own project, and you're not get paid for that. Either you execute client services and you get paid for that. So most of the times we choose second choice, just second one. That's why it's not moving really quick. So in my understanding, if you're a founder, if you're serious about being a founder, you should, if you're working somewhere, just leave your job, become a founder, and founder is equal to fundraising. So that's a normal cycle.
Exactly. No, I 100% agree. With the product, fundraising is, I think, super important, because it does not only deploy capital, but it actually opens so many doors for you, including the network, potential links with other investors, other ecosystem players.
Also credibility. The fact that you can convince people to invest in you. This means you're a founder. But if you're bootstrap, maybe you're a businessman or entrepreneur, but not a founder.
Exactly. Yeah, 100% agreed. Okay, so the next one, I think, where do you guys think that digital studio model is going, especially with AI being on the market? Is it something that will affect it, or is it something that is not going to affect it? I have my opinion on that as well. I'll share afterwards, but maybe you can share first.
Well, I'm pretty sure this would, of course, affect our industry, but I would never think that we could get replaced. I think, again, as I said before, it's just a tool. And this tool would dramatically improve the processes, but also client expectations will become different. So think of it now. Maybe like 10 years ago, or like 5 years ago, building a normal MVP would take around a year, right? And this would be normal. And this would be super expensive. But nowadays, some requests we get, founders, they have an expectation of MVP being up and running in 4 to 8 weeks. So what I'm trying to say is that AI will improve certain processes, and the quality, the benchmark of the products will change. Of course, the benchmark will increase, but I don't think would get replaced, because if even you can give a good prompt and get a output, someone has to give this prompt, and prompt engineering is a whole different thing.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you think, Valeriia?
I agree, but I think the knowledge is also the key point. So, for example, for the larger agencies like corporational one,
Yeah.
it will be I think harder to, and they will be affected by AI harder than us, because we are, as we already said, we're a boutique agency.
We're
and our
agile.
values and our approach is completely different.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason why we're not scared of AI. Because it's our hands and it's our tool.
Exactly. Yeah. No, 100% agree. I always we have this conversation with you quite often. I mean, with Mikael as well. And I always tell that I know that some agencies will definitely be replaced. The ones who are doing like this mechanical, kind of like MVP building or whatever, they definitely will be replaced, but not you guys, because you guys, there is something special about what you do, and it's never going to be replaced with AI.
But I've heard so many times like people saying to me, I'm using, because I will not name these tools, but they're well known. I'm using this tool, and then it gives me an MVP out of my prompt right away. And like, trust me, Alex, we uploaded a pixel perfect like Figma design system, not built by us, but like provided by Figma.
Yeah.
And then this tool, like one of the most famous tools, they're not even capable of rendering this into JSX or HTML.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how people keep saying we built MVP through vibe coding.
Yeah, definitely not. And I think, I on this part, I think the quality of products will actually go down, because at some point, like you can't build a fully functioning product with AI, and I don't think you will be able at any point. I mean, maybe some point in the very far future, but I think what actually will happen is that more people will have MVPs, but they will be lower quality, and then it will probably lead to either them getting more money from investors, or investors becoming more cautious about MVPs that are built with low
and
code.
value will be less. So it's the same thing with the art. So AI now can do art, and it used to be like a really human thing. So the value will be lower. So
actually, with these MVPs is quite interesting, because it depends what a certain person defines as MVP. So if we're talking about clickable prototype, probably these tools are great for that. So it's just a front end, you click on icon, and then it redirects you to a different page. But if we're talking about like a full-scale MVP with a backend database, just to give a prompt, you should have some knowledge so you can structure your database. And obviously, most of these people who are using and trying to become engineers through vibe coding, they are not aware of how database structure works.
Yeah, no, 100% agreed, 100%. Actually, it came up another question. You guys are also based in London. Why do you think there is, I mean, besides the historical kind of like background, what do you think about startup ecosystem in London in general? I think it's a very unique place to build startups, and I was traveling around, and I don't see any other, I mean, unless it's the US and Silicon Valley, I don't see any other places where, the industry is such a vibrating community and, market. What would you say about it? You've been in London also for quite a few years already. What would you say about startups here?
Well, it's well known that it's the best market for startup ecosystem within Europe, and also it's empirically proved. We can just take a look at numbers, right?
Yeah.
But of course, it's incomparable to US. Let's be honest. The
true.
US is on a different level. That's why actually EF, they're now sending like the startup portfolio companies to
US.
US to fundraise. Yeah, but I think it's great, and I think London is a very unique place, not just in a sense of entrepreneurship, startup ecosystem, but also the people here are very open-minded. It's quite easy to build partnerships, find like-minded people, and the life here is quite comfortable because you can choose the way you want to live, which dramatically affects your daily routine, perception, and ability to build something good.
100%. Larry,
I agree. Totally agree. I think people is a key, and London is the capital of startups and business in Europe.
Yeah.
So
also, some support you get from government, like there are some government schemes like SCIS, CIS, and they
Yeah.
give significant tax returns to investors. So this
Yeah.
helps as well,
Yeah.
especially when communicating your idea to business angels.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I think fundraising wise, like after the US, it's probably the largest like concentrate of capital in general. And also, I think it's not only about like the amount of money on the market, not only about the amount of also people paying money on the market, like as a clients, but also it's about like that you can actually see so many ways how you can add value in different niches here. Like if you go to, I don't know, somewhere like let's say Eastern Europe, or I don't know, even Central Europe, you don't see that many. I don't know, in general, just in your daily routine, you don't see that many kind of like open niches where you can actually do something, because
Yeah.
they're a bit beyond in terms of tech and stuff like that. And I think in the UK, like you can, I don't know, if you want to get a, I don't know, visa or car insurance or whatever, in every kind of system you can see, because there are so many people using it,
Yes.
you can
Yeah,
see the
exactly.
niche.
Also,
Yeah.
technology adoption is at very high rate. For
Exactly.
instance, in some CIS countries, the technology adoption is quite low, and
Yeah.
people are they're just not used to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I'm not sure why, like in some CIS countries, there are some giants. Like to me, it sounds like monopoly, but it seems that governments doesn't care. There are some giants that
Yeah.
kind of grow not vertically but horizontally. So they basically cover pretty much all the industries that are there,
Yeah,
from
exactly.
banking to pharmacies to real estate.
Yeah.
And of course, it's and banking as well. So they have access to cheaper funds.
Yeah.
So to me, it's strange,
Exactly.
but for some reason, in the UK, it's never a case.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a bank trying to grow horizontally?
No,
No.
no, never. Would you say the diversity in terms of people makes an impact here as well?
Yeah, I think
Yeah?
UK is really easy to enter,
Yeah.
also due to the language.
Yeah.
Because like we're speaking English.
Exactly. Yeah.
For example, in Spain, I think it would be harder for everyone
Yeah.
to start a business because of the
True.
culture and language, for sure.
I wouldn't say UK, I would say London. I think London, it's very different from the rest of
Yeah.
UK.
Yeah.
And in London, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, as long as you can communicate your ideas somehow. And if you are,
Yeah.
for example, in tech space, no one cares. People just think of you as about a person who is doing something either good or bad. So
Yeah.
if you have some great ideas, you're working on a great product, then you are probably a well-respected person, no matter
Yeah.
who you are, where you come from.
Exactly, yeah. And I think also like just the last bit on that, I think also this like clash of different experiences also, like for example, you meet someone, I don't know, from other country who specifically saw this problem on the market, and then you, for example, know how to solve this problem. And then when this kind of things happens, that's
Yeah.
how co-founding works. And I think that's also like pretty
Yeah.
important bit. Is there any startup that in particular you think in London is like something that you're looking after right now, like in terms of, you know, just using it or like liking it or seeing it grow or something like that?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that there is something specific, but there are indeed some companies that are quite impressive.
Yeah.
Like I would mention Revolut actually.
Yeah, actually, it's
Revolut. Yeah, I thought you
because they
mentioned that.
changed the bank.
They
The bank system.
they changed the system that has been there for
Hundreds of years.
hundreds of years.
That's true. Shout out to
And
Revolut.
yeah, and it was quite hard because they recently got a license like a year ago, maybe, right? It's been a year.
Yeah, some
Yeah. No, that's true. And I was reading their hiring playbook recently, and it's super useful as well. Like they're super insightful. in
Yeah,
that
they
term.
just
Yeah,
Exactly.
it was actually released yesterday, if I'm not wrong. Or 2 days
Yesterday,
ago.
yeah, I think yesterday. True. Okay, great. The next one is, and I think pretty much the wrap up question for the podcast is, what's next for Rattlesnake, guys? What do you know? Is there any risky ideas that you have in mind and that you are planning to execute? I know a few of them, but maybe there are some that you can share with the audience and give a bit of hint for the future, what to look for.
Yeah, the risky idea is something we're building because I think it's easier to share your ideas, to describe that you are doing something rather than roll this out to the market.
Yeah.
Because the market decides if your product is good or not good enough. So that's a risky idea we're having. We're building a product, so it's on the edge of legal tech and fintech. I can't disclose much because again, I'd like to see the product is ready, so I enroll it to the market, and then I can talk about it because it has been a while we're building it. we are doing some testings. It seems it works, but until the date we launch it, I prefer to keep it as a secret. But I gave some hint, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see not only one product in future, but more of them, because that was like the core behind Rattlesnake. But we'll keep Rattlesnake as a boutique agency for sure.
As a core.
We don't want to be scaled in a huge.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not planning to hire hundreds of people. This is not our style and not our strategy. Because again, one of these ideas is not just these 3 pillars, but if you read some copy on our website, it says that me and Valeriia, we are personally involved in every project we onboard. So we have certain limits, but we know each project we work on, and we personally communicate with the founder. So a founder we are working with, he or she can receive an attention he or she deserves. So that's a point. So if we grow big, then this wouldn't be the case anymore. And no one likes dealing with some managers or not senior level people, right?
Yeah.
So.
No, that's true. Actually, I came up with another question before we finish. I just saw it on the chat recently somewhere. Can you guys maybe explain because all founders, they think that marketing is just one vertical. If you do like, I don't know, for example, paid ads, this is marketing. And I recently saw your message that PR is not equal marketing. Sorry, PR is not equal SEO.
There was someone in
yeah. Can you maybe share like sort of so that people understand what are the kind of like the core parts of marketing that need to be present, not only like one of them, but maybe you can share like what's the must
we do a marketing crash course.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah, well, just to clarify, we're focusing on digital marketing, so I'll not account for offline like outdoor advertisement, etc. But generally speaking, you have a PR component. So PR component is something has to do with media relations. So it's when a certain media platform, media research like TechCrunch, for example, makes an article about you. And actually, it's very important to start investing into PR early on, because it has been empirically proved that startup that invests in PR early on, they significantly reduce customer acquisition costs in future. And if you are late, you can't keep up anymore. So it's very important to consider this. Also for you. And then speaking of marketing, you generally have several channels where one of the most known one is SEO, search engine optimization. So the way it works is when a user is typing a certain keyword or combination of keywords like insurance for cars, and then pages that are most relevant for this user query, they're on the top of page, appear on the top of the page. So the way it works, you basically optimize your page title, meta title, description, H1, and content, so it can be highly relevant to this specific keyword or combination of keywords user typed. But of course, there can be different websites, hundreds or thousands, that are doing the same thing. So the way search engines decide who I should prioritize is by looking at number of valuable backlinks. So more backlinks you get from valuable sources, the higher your domain authority would be. So this would mean that you should work on your backlink profile, get lots of articles, mentions from all over the internet, so you can have enough backlinks to beat your competition in terms of domain rating, domain authority. Actually, if you are trying to figure out what's yours, just search for Ahrefs, like Ahrefs, domain authority checker, and then you can just insert the URL and check what's yours. So, and keep in mind that I just gave an example about car insurance, but there can be different examples, and your website structure has to be developed in accordance to all search queries you can potentially think of. So the way it works, you basically use tools such as Ahrefs, SEMrush, you analyze what users are looking for, then you cluster user requests into several categories, and then this enables you to build a viable website structure where each specific page is optimized for each specific user query. Let's take an e-commerce store. One page would be optimized for toy cars. Another page would be optimized for red balls. Another page would be optimized for, I don't know, like phone toys, wherever.
Yeah, actually, it was your mistake, Alex, because Mikael can talk about SEO
I
for
just
hours.
realized.
But actually, the main point is that we do only complex marketing. So we're not
exactly.
doing like SEO separately or paid ads separately.
Yeah.
We only do complex marketing, and that's the key point for marketing.
That's true. And then there is always on top of that paid ads.
There is paid ads. Paid ads can be run on Google and on Meta, and then there is displays. Display ads, it's a part of paid ads, but they are looking like display banners.
Yeah,
and there
for
is
social media.
and there is social media. So organic,
community
again, paid.
marketing.
Community marketing, it's very important, especially for startup space. For example, Reddit Quora, lots of questions, getting cuts there, and if you can communicate with the public, you can test your ideas very early and get some traffic as well.
Yeah, for each startup is different. Every time is different. So I think the key point is to do your GTM strategy.
I was about to say you have to have a GTM strategy on top of all of that to understand whether you're actually going in the right direction.
It's very important because some people, they approach us for SEO, but their industry specifics are made in a way that people are not searching for this kind of services.
On Google,
so SEO only works when someone is trying to search for something and your page is optimized for this certain query. But if you are selling something or providing some services that are not being searched, then SEO would never work for you.
Yeah, that's true. Guys, I think we're about to wrap up. Thank you very much for coming. It was great to have you. I'll put all the links in the description for Rattlesnake, for all the social media of you guys. And thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. Thank you.